Chapter 16 The Liedenbrock Museum of Geology. "I will not yield," he shouted. "I will not stir a single foot backward. It will be seen whether man or nature is to have the upper hand." "It would be mad to attempt a second crossing," I said. "Our raft is broken, the sail torn, we can't steer." My uncle was deaf to my speech. "We shall sail tomorrow," he said. "I must neglect nothing. Since my fate has driven me to this part of the coast, I will not leave it until I have examined it." To understand what followed, it must be known that we were not really where my uncle thought we were. We left Hans to his work, while we walked toward the wall of rock. There we found shells of all shapes and sizes, and the shells that had covered gigantic glyptodons and armadillos of the Pleistocene period. The soil was scattered with stony fragments and boulders. We walked upon sedimentary soil, the deposits of the waters of former ages. My uncle carefully examined every fissure in the rocks. Wherever he saw a hole, he always wanted to know its depth. We walked along the shores of the Liedenbrock Sea for a mile. We then observed a sudden change in the appearance of the soil. Within 3 square miles, we saw the materials for a complete history of the animal life of all the ages. I stood amazed. My uncle did too. Then he placed his hand upon a bare skull and cried with a voice that trembled with excitement, "A human head!" "A human skull!" I cried. I was as astonished as he was to find evidence of a human-like fossil that came from one of the earliest periods of the geological history. This discovery would amaze scholars worldwide. My uncle was in a state of frenzied excitement when, 20 years ahead, he found himself face to face with the dried corpse of a primitive man. It was a perfectly recognizable human body. This fossil body was not the only one in this immense catacomb. We came upon more bodies at every step. It was quite a sight, this cemetery of human and fossil bones. We wondered how all of these bones came to be in the same spot. Had there been a fissure into which they slid into the crust of the earth to land on the shores of the Liedenbrock Sea? Did they live in this subterranean world? Until this point of our journey, we had only seen live marine monsters and fishes. Might not some living man, some native of the abyss, be here too?